Hello everyone. Good evening, guys. We have enabled passcode on the meeting, guys, and we did send it across to all the enrolled participants. But as usual, people might be looking for passcode at the last minute. So only for today, we'll give them a couple of minutes. We'll give them a couple of minutes and we get started. We'll wait for one more minute, guys. Okay, let's get started, guys. I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing my screen. So we were discussing security in our previous session, guys, and what is it that we have done, guys? We created a user. We created a user. And to that user, we assigned job roles. Okay, so we created a user in the system yesterday, ug.user1. And to that user, we assigned three roles. We assigned employee abstract role, we assigned employee abstract role, and we assigned the general accountant accounts payable manager job role. And we discussed all the stuff related to this. So assigning a job role gives access of the screens to the users. Whereas to grant data access, I did show you two options. One option is you can go ahead and grant data access to the user by going into manage data access for user screen, or you can even assign a data roles like this, or you can even assign a data roles like this. Okay. But the question is, when we assign these job roles like a GL role or AP role to the user, when we assign the GL role or AP role to the user, how is it that this particular user is able to see these pages in the application? He's able to see these pages in the application. Now let me explain that first. Now, if you go into the PPT, if you go to PPT, now what is it that we have done, guys? This is a job role that we have assigned to the user, right? Accounts payable invoice supervisor. Accounts payable invoice supervisor is a job role that we assign to the user. Right? Accounts payable invoice supervisor role we assign to the user. And whenever you hire a person, you usually expect them to perform a specific job. And say, for example, if you have hired an employee as AP supervisor, invoice supervisor job, as part of his job, he will have to perform a lot of duties. As an invoice supervisor or in invoice supervisor job, he has to perform a lot of duties. And what is one key duty that he has to perform, guys? One key duty that he has to perform is to process invoices. Obviously, as an invoice supervisor, that is one of his key duty. But that is not the only duty, guys. There are plenty of duties that an accounts payable invoice supervisor should perform. So to one job role, if you look at the job role definition, I'll show it in the application in 10 minutes. If you look at the job role definition, you would notice that there are plenty of duty roles assigned to that particular job role. So whatever duties that accounts payable invoice supervisor should perform, there are plenty of them. Payables invoice processing is just one of the key duty that they have to perform. And as soon as this duty role is done, yeah, so this is one of the key duty that supervisor has to perform. And for accounts payable invoice supervisor to be able to process the invoices, what is it that they should, for him to be able to process invoices, what is it that he should see in the application, guys? He should be able to see pages to create AR invoice. He should be able to see pages or tasks here. If you click on the task ribbon, you see the task here. For accounts payable invoice supervisor to be able to process the invoices, he should be able to see these pages in the application. And what are the tasks that we see here? You see that there is a privilege to create an AR invoice. You should be able to manage invoice, validate invoice, and so on. So as accounts payable invoice supervisor, processing invoices is one of his key duty. There are plenty of other duties as well. And to perform that duty, there would be, and to that particular duty role, there would have been a lot of privileges assigned. Whatever privileges are required to be showing up as tasks on the page, so that the payables invoice supervisor can access those pages and perform those tasks as part of a duty, is what you get to see in the application. In Fusion Cloud application, you already have thousands of privileges given by Oracle, like create invoice, edit invoice, delete invoice, and plenty of those privileges are already given. In fact, thousands of them. And those privileges are grouped into relevant duty roles. Those privileges are grouped into duty roles. And those duty roles is assigned to a job role. So when you assign a job role to a user, application will see what are all the duty roles assigned to that job role. And within the duty role, it will see what all privileges are assigned. And all those privileges, if they are related to tasks, they would be showing up in the application here. They'll be showing up in the application here. And that is exactly how, when you assign a job role to the user, they start seeing additional navigation options because of that reason. Now you might say, Prasad, can we see this in the application? Can you open this role definition and can you show us this security backbone that I just explained? Yes, I can very well do that. I'll go back to the application and I copy the role code. I copy the role code here. Go to roles, and within the roles, I search for the role code. And this particular role that we see here, it's called as accounts payable invoice supervisor role. And a person in this particular role is supposed to create payables invoices. That is one of his key duty. Create payables invoices. Creation of payables invoice is one of his key duty. Now, if you scroll to the right, what is it that we notice here, guys? This is a job role definition that we are looking at. And you see that as a accounts payable invoice supervisor, there are a lot of duties that a user has to perform. Okay, there are a lot of duties that a user has to perform. What are the duties that we see, guys? Payables invoice creation, payables inquiry, supplier profile inquiry. And if you scroll down here, you will be able to see all the duties that accounts payable invoice supervisor should perform. Processing invoices, payables invoice processing is one of the key duty that he has to perform. But that is not the only thing. A supplier profile inquiry, payables invoice inquiry, transaction entry. So these are all the other duties that he has to perform. And one job role would have plenty of duty roles assigned, because a job would expect a person to perform a lot of duties. And for accounts payable invoice supervisor to be able to process the invoices, if you go to this duty role and you search for the duty role, guys, and you should pick up a role that doesn't have anything at the end after duty. And when you look at the duty role, remember guys, a job role, you can expand it towards the roles, and that would show you all the duty roles that we have on the job role. But when you look at the duty role, and when you expand it, you expand it towards the privileges. Okay, you expand it towards the privileges. And in the privileges, what is it that we see, guys? For payables invoice processing, these are all the privileges that we get to see. We have privileges to edit payables invoice, cancel invoice, delete invoice. And if you scroll down further, you will be able to see plenty of other privileges as well, like validate invoice and so on, view purchase order and so on. So what are all the privileges? That are assigned to this particular duty role? You will be able to see them here. So this makes up a security framework, guys. So first of all, you have thousands of privileges created by Oracle, and those privileges are grouped into duty roles, and those duty roles are assigned to the job role, like accounts payable supervisor or general accountant and so on. So that when you assign a job role to the users, it would come to the duty role, and within the duty role, you have privileges, and these are nothing but the tasks. That appear within the application, like create invoice, delete invoice, edit payables invoice, and so on. So the privileges are nothing but the tasks that show up in the application or show up as pages within the application. Now the question is, yes, we in many cases we use the seeded roles here as is. In most cases, we use the seeded roles as is. But in some cases, client might ask you to make some changes to the seeded roles as well. Client might not want to use the seeded roles as is. Okay, they might want you to customize it. So let's take an example and try to understand how that works. So to help you understand that, what I do is, I'll create a new user. And let's say I call it as UGHCM user 1. Okay. Or otherwise, what I would do was, let me create it as Prasad K. I create it as Prasad K. And assume that Prasad is an employee joining Emerson. And to this user, we assign only employee role. Now, when you assign a seeded employee role given by Oracle to a user, and when that user logs in, let's see what they get to see. We've already seen that yesterday, but I just want to explain a concept there. So we created a user called Prasad.k, and I'm going to log into the application as that user now. So the moment you log in, since to this particular user, we have only assigned employee role. Since to this particular role, since to this particular user, we have assigned only employee role. We've assigned only employee role to this particular user. Okay, since we assigned only employee role to this particular user, he was able to see the basic screens that every employee should be able to see. Okay, so he has screens to access personal information, payslip, time and absences, and so on. But you see here, guys, assume that we're doing an implementation for HSBC. Okay, assume that we're doing implementation for HSBC, and we created a user and we assigned employee role, and we have shown to HSBC that these are all the pages that their employees would get to see. These are all the pages that their employees would get to see in the application. Now, what does it mean, guys? And HSBC might say, they might look at these pages and they might say, okay, Prasad, these pages are okay. But the moment they look at few pages like volunteering or web clock, they might say, Prasad, we don't need these pages. Our employees don't do any volunteering work, and we don't want all our employees to be able to see these pages when they log into the HR application, because we are, of course, doing the HCM implementation for them, right? So when their employees log in, HSBC doesn't want their employees to see these pages, maybe few of them. Now, let's say a seated employee role gives access to, let's say a seated employee role gives access to 100 pages. Out of 100 pages, let's say HSBC wants their employees to see only 95 of them. When you assign an employee role, user gets to see 100 pages, standard employee role, but they want their employees to see only 95 of them. What do we have to do, guys? What is one obvious thing? What is one straightforward thing that comes to your mind, guys, the moment I say this? Okay, so when you assign the seeded role, it is giving access to 100 pages. But HSBC is saying that it is giving access to 100 pages, but HSBC is asking us to take off 5 pages from it. So what is the first obvious thing that comes to your mind, guys?
We can create custom role.
No, even before I'm glad that that came to your mind first. But usually in other batch students say, Prasad, let's edit the employee role, the seeded employee role, and take on those 5 pages. Very simple, right? What they say is, what's a big deal? Yes, standard employee role is giving user access to 100 pages. So let's go to that standard role. Let's go to that standard role, edit that standard role, and take off 5 pages is what they say. But is there anyone who disagrees with me, guys, that this is not the right approach? Like going to the seeded role.
We can't change the seeded roles because tomorrow something patch, a new release comes, you lose that.
Absolutely. So when I search for a role, here, when I search for a role, and I can edit it, I can definitely edit it. System doesn't stop you. System doesn't stop you. You can go ahead and edit it. But the problem is, you should never edit it. You can, nothing is going to stop you. You can edit the predefined role, and you can, you can edit the seeded role or predefined role like this. And you can go ahead and make changes in it directly. But the problem is, tomorrow when you get a new release or new version rather, how frequently do we get new version in Fusion Cloud, guys?
Every quarter.
Every quarter. So assume that we got this requirement in June last week. Okay. So what Jamil has done is he has edited the seeder role, taken out 5 pages. And when the employee logged in, he was not able to see these 5 pages. HSBC was happy. And in July first week or second week, the Oracle has released a new version, and it has restored the employee back to the seeded one. And in second week of July, employees of HSBC started seeing these 5 pages. And they're going to ask you, is this your first implementation project? What's going on? Right? So we should definitely not edit the seeded roles. It is definitely doable, but highly, highly not recommended. And what is the second thing that might come to your mind? Okay, let's not do anything with the seeded ones. So let's create a custom role from scratch, putting together all those 95 pages. So whatever privileges are required for those 95 pages, identify them one after the other, and create a custom role from scratch. Of course, you can go ahead and create a custom role from scratch. And in that custom role, you go to functional security policies and you add 95 privileges one after the other. Again, a certainly doable approach, but if you don't have anything else to do in your life, and if you have 2 weeks of spare time, and you can probably give it a try. But this is a really tedious approach, and you will, of course, not have that much time in an implementation project. Okay, so editing a seeded one, ruled out. Creating a new role, well, of course, if you have a lot of bandwidth, you can do it, but not recommended. Well, third obvious option is, like one of you rightly said, we have to customize the seeded role or copy the seeded role and take out those 5 pages and add that customized role to the user. Clear? Now, how do you customize a role? You click on the menu option and you go ahead and copy role, duplicate it. And after you duplicate it, you take out the pages and you say, when you duplicate it, it'll ask you, do you want to copy only the top role, only the employee role, or do you want to copy the inherited roles as well? Now, what exactly this means, guys? See, as we have seen earlier, that this job role might have a lot of duty roles inherited or assigned, and a lot of duty roles might have a lot of privileges assigned as well. Now, the question that you are asked here is, should we, since we are trying to copy the role, it is asking us, Prasad, do you want to copy the top role and the inherited roles? Or do you want to copy the top role and the inherited roles? Or do you want to copy only the top role? So I don't want to duplicate all the duty roles assigned to the job role. Instead, I want to copy only the top role. So I say copy top role. And the moment you copy a top role, what exactly do you see in the application, guys? You see that the role name has been defaulted as Emerson space employee. And role code is Emerson underscore is a prefix that you see for this. See, this is the name. This is the name that we see, right? If you look at the standard role, this was the name of the standard role, and this is a standard role code. But when you try to copy a role, Emerson space is getting prefixed, Emerson underscore is getting prefixed to the code. Where is this coming in from, guys? Where is this configured? If you go to administration tab, you will find a place where it is entered. Go to security console, administration, you go to roles, and here you can mention when you copy a role, what is it that you want to prefix or suffix to a role name? And what is it that you want to prefix or suffix to the role code? Okay. So when you copy a role, what is it that you want to add as a prefix? And to the role code, what is it that you want to add? I mean, to the name as well as code, is there any prefix you want to add and any suffix you want to add? Any suffix you want to add, basically. Now, since it is Emerson space that is added as a prefix for a role name, you see that Emerson space is added as a prefix here. And Emerson underscore is added as a role code prefix, and that is exactly what you see getting added. And assume that we are doing this implementation for HSBC. I would say HSBC space, and I would say HSBC underscore here. HSBC underscore here. Save it. I cancel this, and what is it that we do now? We go ahead and copy the role. And when you copy the role now, this time, what is it that you get to see, guys? You see that it has changed to HSBC space employee, HSBC underscore employee. Now you go to the next screen, and in the next screen, you will be able to see a functional security policies or the privileges. And this is where you see all the privileges assigned to the job, assigned to this role, basically. Now, what is the page that that HSBC wanted us to take off? Volunteering. Assume that this is the case. And if volunteering is the one that we have to take off, what do we need to do, guys? I need to know what is the privilege. Sitting behind this particular page. Right? And one obvious thing that we can do is we can do some shooting in the dark, or we can do some guessing game. I can apply a filter, and I can search for volunteering here. And do you see a group here, guys? Do you see a group here? Do you see a privilege here that says volunteering, right?
Yes.
And since it says volunteering, what is it that I can do? I can select it and I can take it off. But in this case, you're lucky that the name of the page is exactly same as privilege name. but you will not be that lucky every time. And also there is no a confirmation from your side or guarantee that this privilege is actually corresponding to this. In most cases, it is right, but you're not 200% sure. But you definitely know for sure that this privilege is related to this, right? Or in this case, or what if the privilege name is different from the page name? How do you understand it? How do you find out what is the privilege sitting behind this page? That is a next question. Because how many privileges we see, guys, here? How many privileges we see? Is it possible? Is it possible to go through them one by one to see what could have been a probable privilege behind this particular page, guys? We cannot do that guesswork, right? So what is the answer then? What is the answer then? You have an option called Simulate Navigator. So you go to Security Console and you search for a role here. And we have an option called Simulate Navigator here. We have an option called Simulate Navigator. I click on the username and I click on Simulate Navigator, and that is going to open up a navigator. It's going to simulate the navigator. Now, where exactly you see the navigator, guys? So when you click on the navigator here, what exactly you get to see, what groups you get to see, and within the group, what pages you get to see, is something that we see here, is something that we see in the Simulate Navigator page. Now, when you scroll down here, you see the groups, and you see the pages within them. You see the groups and pages within them. Now, you see some pages like personal information, pay, time and absences, career and performance, right? So we don't see warning, or we don't see lock symbol there. We don't see warning or we don't see lock symbol. What does it mean, guys? It means that under this group, for an employee, these pages will be visible by default. These pages will be visible by default. Do we see that? Do we see those tabs, guys? Personal information,
Yes.
pay, time and absence, career and performance. We see them by default. At the same time, you also have some pages that will have a warning symbol. And what does it mean? It means that this page is visible. It means that that page is visible under the group, is available under the group, but that might not be displayed by default. Okay, so what does it mean, guys? It means that, after personal information, I see connections. And I don't see, after personal information, I see corrections, but I don't see directory. What does it mean, guys? It means that if I scroll down, I see a plus icon. Click on that plus icon, and that would help you to personalize a Springboard. And when you click on a plus icon, what exactly do we see here, guys? Under a Me section, you see that these are all the pages that are available. And out of all these pages that are available, there are some pages which are not enabled by default. Yes or no, guys? Some pages are not enabled by default, and directory is one among them. So which means directory is a page. You have a warning here, meaning that page is available for the employees, but it is not enabled by default. That's what a warning means. So which means I can just tick that box so that users would be, or employees would be able to see that option showing up here. That option would start showing up there. That option would start showing up on the menu option on the page. Now, if we go back to the task that we have on hand, our intention is to take out volunteering page, and our intention is to understand what is the privilege sitting behind that volunteering page. So I can see the volunteering page, and I can click on that volunteering page, And the moment I click on that page, you can see two things, guys. You can see two things. What are the two things that we can do? We can view the privileges required for menu option. We can see the privileges required for that menu option. View privileges required for that menu. What does it mean? It means that when you click on it, it is going to show you what is the privilege that is sitting behind that particular role. What is the privilege sitting behind that menu option? And that says manage volunteering. And this is how you can get the exact privilege name sitting behind a specific page. Now, what is it that I need to do, guys? I just need to copy this privilege, go back to the role here, and I search for that particular privilege and I knock it off. This is how you need to proceed further. Now you go back here, and that is the page that we see. And when you click on that particular page within the group, so we have seen what are the privileges required for that menu option. This is one thing that we have seen. And another thing that we have seen is we also need to understand what are the roles that grant access to the users. What are the roles that grant access to that particular privilege? See, employee role is going to give access to this page. What are the other roles that give access to this particular page in the application? So that also you can figure out. But this doesn't matter to us. We wanted to understand what is a privilege. We got the privilege and we have taken it off now. And when you go to the next screen, you will be able to see data security policies. And here you will be able to see where the list of values is coming in for those pages. So for example, you're seeing a lot of pages here, right? Standard pages like directory, personal information, payslips, and so on. And there will be a lot of fields in them. And within the fields, you have list of values. So where exactly data comes in for those list of values on those standard pages would be coming in from the data security policies. Okay, so if there is an attachment, what are the list of values that user would be able to see that it comes in from these privileges? We're not going to change anything in the other tabs. We just wanted to take off that privilege, take off access of few pages. Remember, it's not only about taking off access to the pages, guys. If your client says maybe in some other role, or maybe a line manager role is giving access to a page, and they might say that add this page to our employee as well. So it need not only be about taking off the pages, guys. It can also be about adding a pages as well, adding additional pages. And in the role hierarchy, you will be able to see what are the roles that are going to get inherited by this role. And I'm not going to make any change there. You can even take off this if you want. So whatever are the roles that we see here, right? Whatever are the seeded roles that we see here. So if you don't want, if your client should not see or should not see any of those tasks within the pages, if your users should not see any of those tasks within the pages, you can even take off those roles, take off these the child roles that are inherited by this. Okay. If you want to take out any additional privileges, like these are something related to access or running a report or doing any other action. So if HSBC doesn't want their employees to be able to say access a person gallery, if HSBC doesn't want their employees to be able to access person gallery, you just have to take it off. If they don't want their employees to be able to access something, able to do an expense entry, what is it that you do? You just have to take out this duty role from this employee role. So this way you can make whatever changes that your client wants. And within the users tab itself, while you create the employee role itself, we have an option to assign, while you customize the employee role at that time itself, you can assign it to the user. Say, for example, if I want to assign this to Prasad.k, I'll go ahead and search for that particular user and add this role to the user, HSBC employee role to the user. Now you go to the next screen and it'll give you a summary of what you have done. I've deleted one privilege and I've added this role to a user, and that's it. And the moment I click on submit and close, you would be able to see the request submitted, a process submitted. And we should be able to check the status of this process in the administration tab. I should be able to check the status of this from the administration tab. So I click on OK, I go to administration tab. And in the administration tab, what is it that we see, guys? We go into role status and we should be able to see that custom role getting created now. You see this particular role, it is its creation is under progress at the moment, is under processing at the moment. And it should take 5 to 10 minutes. It should take 5 to 10 minutes for for the role to get copied. And once that is done, if you try to log out and log in as Prasad K, okay, and we go back to the user again. Sorry, we stay in the screen. We stay in the screen. You see the role and its status is processing. And you wait for it to get completed. You wait for it to get completed. And this particular role go to the users. And if I search for the user again, you notice that there are two roles assigned to the user now. You have a standard employee role assigned, and you also have HSBC employee role as well, custom role also assigned. And I'm going to take off the seeded role. I'm going to edit the user, and I would take off the seeded role. Now Prasad has got only HSBC employee role. And once this role creation is complete, what would happen, guys? If I sign out and sign in as this user, we should be able to see only the other pages, not the volunteering there, not the volunteering. So this way, if you have to customize, if you have to make some changes to the seeded roles given by Oracle, 3 approaches possible. You can edit the seeded role itself, but that is not upgrade proof. Or you can create a custom role from scratch, very tedious process. Instead, we normally copy the seeded role and make the required changes and assign that copied role to the actual user. Okay. Now, while we are waiting for this to get completed, a couple of things that I want to highlight, guys. So we are logging in as a specific user here, right? And all of you do have access to this Google Drive sheet. All of you do have access to this Google Drive sheet. And in this sheet, we're going to maintain a Fusion Cloud instance login credentials. So at any point in time, guys, when you want to practice anything that we covered in a session, you should always come into this sheet real time. Click on the username. Okay, click on the username. Click on the URL. And after you click on the URL, let me sign out. Okay, copy the URL, paste it here. And you should be able to log in as either a FinIMPL user or SCMIMPL. Remember, guys, for Fin and SCM, there is only one user, guys. But for HCMIMPL, you have users from 1 to 20. You have users from 1 to 20. Okay. So you can, depending on the concept that you're practicing, if it is a payment file format that you're doing, or if it is FPDI load that you're doing, use it FinIMPL. And if it is a HCM data loader or HCM extract that you're practicing, you use HCMIMPL user. Depending on the module that you're practicing or a topic, you would be given access to this application. I mean, you would be logging in with that particular credentials. Now, you come in here and you should be able to see that there are 2 instances marked in green. So you can pick up any one of them. So I've picked up the first one and I can try to use FinIMPL. I can try to log in as FinIMPL username. And this is a password that I have to enter. Okay, so you're accessing the application. You're entering the username as FinIMPL and you're entering the password and you hit the sign in button. You hit the sign in button. Now the point is you enter the login credentials here and you're signing in. And if you see an instance marked in green, you should be able to click on a URL, enter the username, enter the password, you should be able to get in. This is a happy path. But sometimes, and if you're able to log in, you go ahead with your practice. But sometimes what would happen is you might see that there is an instance marked in green, but when you try to log into an instance as a finance IMPL user or SCM IMPL user, maybe one of them might not work. What could be the case, guys? The reason could be that assume that the password might have been changed recently. And remember, these are the demo instance from Oracle, right? Not only you and me, there are plenty of other students who use the same instance. And maybe they don't know the right password. Maybe they don't know the right password. And they might be trying to log into the application with the wrong password more than 5 times. Okay, so this is the right password, and I'm putting in few ones at the end to make it invalid. And let me try to log into a Fusion Cloud instance as FinIMPL user without wrong password. Did it work, guys?
No.
And if I do it 5 times, what would happen? 4th time, 5th time, 6th time.
Blocked, I guess.
If you go back to the application and you see what has happened to that particular user, if you try to log into the application as a specific user with a wrong password more than 5 times, the user gets locked. Now, what would happen? Jamil from UK would try to log in with a right password during his 9 p.m. UK time, which is India 2 p.m. Okay, 2 a.m. in the night. So he would try to log in because he just had his dinner and he wants to log in and practice. He would try to log in as FinIMPL. Yes, of course, everything is marked in green and he's using the right password that Prasad has given in a sheet. But when he tries to log in, he's not able to get in there. There are 2 things that Jamil can do. He can waste his evening, send a note to Prasad saying that Prasad, I cannot get in there. And Prasad would fix the issue. He can fix it only next day morning, 11 a.m. What is other thing that you could do with the knowledge that you have now so far in the security? What is it that you can do? Since the password is same for other implementation users as well, for Fin, there's only one user, but for SCM and HCM, you have, for HCM especially, you have 20 users, and for SCM, you have 1 user. So if FinIMPL is not working, what Jamil should do? He should try to log in as HCM IMPL 20, 11, 12, 13, 14. There are users for HCM, you have users from 1 to 20. He can log in as any user from 1 to 20 with that password and check if that is a problem with a user or the password. Now, if he tries to log in as HCM IMPL 14, and if it works, what does it mean, guys? It means that someone would have logged the FinIMPL user. So what is it that he would do? Since he logged in as HCM IMPL 14, the password worked, which means the password is right, It's just that FinIMPL would have been logged. But what is it that he wants to do? He wants to practice FPDI. Of course, he cannot load journals using HCM IMPL user, right? Because this user will not have general accountant role. So what is it that he has to do, guys? Instead of waiting for Prasad,
Reset.
go to Tools, Security Console. Before you reach me, try at least 4 or 5 users to make sure that user is not the problem, password is the real problem. Only then you come to me. Come into users, and he would have to search for FinIMPL, unlock the user, and after we unlock it, what is it that we do?
Log back as FinIMPL.
FinIMPL and do whatever you want. Basically, whatever journal input that you want to do or whatever it is, you go ahead and proceed with your usual practice. So this way, you could be able to save a lot of time if you just follow these simple instructions. Okay, I'm able to get in now and get in as FinIMPL, and you can proceed with whatever you want to do as a Fin implementation user. Now I'm going to sign out, And let's go back and log in as UG.user1 and see if this user, sorry, not UG user1. I should log in as prasal.k to check. I should log in as prasal.k. And when I go in here, when I go to the me section, do we see volunteering guys now?
Oh,
No.
No, that's because we have added a custom role to him. And in that custom role, we have taken that off. There are a few more topics that I want to cover that I need to cover in security, guys. We'll pick them up in Monday's session. And one important announcement, guys, please pay attention. Tomorrow is US Independence Day, and we've got a lot of requests from students asking to give an off tomorrow because it's a long weekend and most of them are not available. So since we are in middle of a critical topic like security, I don't want to take a session with many people missing it. So you won't have a training session tomorrow. Next training session will be on Monday evening, and we'll pick it up from here. Any questions from anyone?
Plus, I have one question here. Yeah. So when you created the custom role, you said the options are to do a copy from top role or copy from top
Top
role and
role,
inherit role. So top
only
role or
top role.
so what's the difference between the other one, the top role and inherited roles? Like
If
when do you use that?
No, we don't. Usually, we don't use it. I'm not really sure when it would be particularly helpful. But
Okay.
you understood the difference, right? But the
Yeah.
top, yeah, the difference is like only employee role will be duplicated. If you
Mm.
say top and inherited roles, if there are 100 roles inherited by employee role, all those 100 roles would also be duplicated.
Okay.
Yeah. But usually we do only top role.
Top role. Okay. Fine.
Yes, Rishabh.
yeah, Prashant, why we create the roles? Like, what is the use of this? Can you please tell me?
Okay. Did you attend yesterday's session?
Yes.
Okay. So if I create a user and if I don't assign any role, will he be able to see anything in the system?
No.
So that's the answer, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Ashwani Kumar.
Hey Prashad, good evening.
Hi. Good evening. Please go on.
So we created lots of users. What are the life cycle of these users? Because ultimately the lots of users impacted that the revenue and billing of that instance you have said last time. So any life cycle is related to the user that may be deprecated and deleted like that.
No, there's no life cycle for user. But there's one important thing that you need to know when you create with regards to a user creation, and that is when we create a user. See what we created here. What we created in the session yesterday and today are the users which are not associated with person or employee. Now, when we do the global HR topic, I'll talk about this in detail. When we do the global HR topic, I'm going to talk about it in quite detail. But now that you asked about it, I'm explaining it now. Usually, the standalone users that you create here, without associating a person or an employee to it, it would be done only for the implementation teams. Okay. But if Emerson or HSBC has 1 lakh employees, when HCM technical consultant loads in those 1 lakh employees into the system through HDL, okay, through HDL, we do a bulk import of employees. And when we do that, for every employee, there will be a user created automatically. For every user, there will be a user for every employee, there will be a user created automatically. Say, for example, if you search for a specific employee, you will be able to see the user, and against the user, you will be able to see to which employee it is related to. So first of all, creating a standalone users without an employee is only done for implementation team, like you and me, meaning we work in the project, do the implementation, and after implementation is done, our users will be end dated. But the actual users of the system are the employees of Emerson, and though their users would be created when the employee is hired, and when the employee is terminated, the users will be revoked.
Okay.
Just bear in mind these points for now, and I'll be talking about that in detail when we do the global HR topic.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, Sapta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Prasad. Can you please explain how different role types are interrelated with each other?
Okay, so so far, what are the role types, or what are the rules? What are the different types of roles that we have seen? The first type of role that we have seen is abstract role, right? Which is employee, line manager, and so on. These roles are independent and therefore they are not related to anything else. Okay, these roles are independent roles, and these roles have privileges within them, like what we have seen just now. But apart from that, you have job roles like general accountant, invoice supervisor, and so on. And those job roles inherit duty roles. Those job roles inherit duty roles. Lot of duty roles, not just one. And each duty role is made up of privileges. So it is like thousands of privileges, and they are assigned to duty roles, and a plenty of duty roles assigned to the job role. This is a hierarchy. Privileges assigned to duty role assigned to job role, and job role is what we assign to the users. And apart from these three security terms, you are already aware of abstract role, and we did talk about the data role as well yesterday, which would grant access to the data. Okay, is that clear now?
Yes. So, if I'm understanding correctly, privileged role is one-to-one relationship to each page.
Okay. See, when you see a page in the application, behind that page there is a role. Behind that page there is a privilege. Okay, so there is a one-to-one relationship between the page and the privilege that you see. But apart from that, there's no one-to-one relationship anywhere. You have many-to-one relationship between the privileges and duty roles. And between the duty roles and job roles, there is many-to-one relationship. And there could be plenty of job roles assigned to the user. There again, you have a many-to-one relationship.
I got it. Thank you.
Hi, Prasad.
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah. So when you choose the single role type, so basically you're going to create the duplicate method, duplicate copy, or you're editing the
No,
original.
I copied the role and I edited the copy of it, not the original one. Original one you should never touch.
Okay, so then it will be both instances is going to be exist for the user.
No, to the user, you will only assign the custom role. What did we do for this role? For Prasad.k? This user has only one role now, which is HSBC employee. We're not going to use the standard employee role at all. You would only assign this role to the employees.
Okay.
Only the custom one. Okay?
Okay. Got
Yeah.
you, Prasad.
Yes, I know.
Hey,
If your
Prasad.
question is answered, please lower your hand, guys. That would avoid confusion. Yes, Simon, go on.
Hey, yeah, my question was, so we see that we are individually assigning users, right? So is there a way we can just say, hey, all employees will now get,
You
account.
can, what you can do is, as I said earlier, users would automatically get created. Users would um, get created automatically when you load a person. And when you hire a person, depending on with what attributes you hire a person, are you hiring him as a manager or are you hiring him as a normal worker? Because when you hire a person and in the job you mention that as manager, then I can write auto provisioning rules. Auto provisioning rules can be configured, and in those rules I can mention that if it is a normal employee that is getting hired, whatever user is going to get created to that particular user, auto provision employee role. And if you're hiring a person with a job as maybe a manager, there is an on the assignment there is a flag called is this employee a manager, yes or no? And if that is yes, then in the auto provisioning rule you can mention assign a line manager role.
Got it.
Okay, we
So
can do that auto provisioning rules if you want.
we do this at a later point also, like, a couple months down the lane, if the firm says, can we add some other rule to this particular category of people to accountants? Can we also do
You
something like
can. I mean, you have REST APIs that you can use to do a bulk assignments. If you have to do it at a later point, by the time if the users were created. Otherwise, auto provisioning rules should be helpful.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Aditya.
Prasad, just
Yeah.
like this, you just said about told about that there is an API that you can use to create multiple users for multiple employees that we are enrolling in our company or anything else.
Now, if you see for a user to be created when you hire a person, you don't need to call any API. It happens automatically.
Yes, but when a company is
When
acquiring
okay,
another company and employees of that other
we
company.
when you would be using a process called HCM data loader, and when you prepare a file in a specific format, and in that file you put in 1 lakh employees, and when you load that file into the system, 1 lakh employees gets created, and for those 1 lakh employees, 1 lakh users get created, and to those users, what roles should be assigned, you can control it by writing the auto provisioning rules, and you don't have to call any APIs for it.
Okay, it is like just like interfacing data.
Interfacing data, loading data, basically. So
Yes.
if I show you this file, you get an idea. Okay, so all I have to do is prepare a file like this, and in this file, I mention those 1 lakh employees,
Yes,
and I
sir.
load it in.
Okay, is that
Okay.
file would be CSV as we use
This
in
is
ERP or else?
in case of FBDA, we use CSV. In case of HDL, it's slightly different format. It's called as .dat, but we'll talk in detail about it.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Jamil.
Plus, I have one question here. Yeah. So we talked about data roles, yeah, which gets created automatically when you create a new time ledger or this one, or even like today we saw like copying the creating a custom role from the serial role. But is there a way, like let's say like a company decides like they should not view it by accidentally, no one should keep the serial role or the data roles. Is there a way we can hide these roles from the
You can
system?
disable them. You can disable them, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but usually, see this security page, right? How many users do you think would have access to security console in production? Any guess? How
Maybe
many
two or three.
users? Yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah. So if something goes wrong, you know who is the culprit.
Yeah, true.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Lata, go on.
Prasad, yes. How do I open a new session from the page? Like, let's say if I am at the user and I want to open a new session to look at a different page in the
Going to
section.
private window, going to a private window, open it. That will be treated as a new session.
No, it's like if I want to open for the like I'm working on FinEMPL, I want to look at the privileges, not privileges. What are the one minute.
I opened the same instance here, four different tabs, right?
Yes. So here, let's say I am at the user account details page. There,
Right.
I want to I want a window with users, and I want a window with administration side by side. 2 windows.
What you do is you pull this out and you do an alt tab and you search for it.
Alt tab. No. So here, can you please go back to that account details page, user account details page?
Okay, so I'm in this users page. This is one page.
No, so
and,
here,
and here I can go to tools and I can go to security console. I can open administration, and this will be a second page that opens.
No, from this page, if I want to open a new page for the administration, can I do that?
You don't have anything like this. You cannot do a right click and say open it in a new session or new tab or new window. You just have to. You can go ahead and say a duplicate tab, but duplicate tab 90% of the times is throw errors. If you try to duplicate it, it would definitely throw errors like this. So what you do is you just take it off and you go to that particular page. It would by default show you the tools group, and you can go ahead and open up whatever page that you want, and you just have to go through it.
Oh, okay. So then, and as far, do we have in the next sessions, do we cover those creating data permission roles or?
Data permission roles.
data permission roles in the sense, like, let's say if I created a new business unit, how do I
That
go
would
about?
be taken care by that would happen automatically, and when functional consultants does it, we've got nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay, yeah, when finance consultant defines a ledger, but it goes ahead and it would be created automatically. Okay. And I'll take the other questions in Monday's session, guys. I'm very glad that we're doing question and answers for 15 minutes and people are still interested. And then I really hope that this enthusiasm lasts until the last session of the training. But let's see how far we go. Thank you. Have a nice weekend, guys. Long weekend. I'll see you on Monday evening.